Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back on the dev server and we are having a look at a new naval vehicle that is coming in for Japan. Surprisingly, this one is very odd. It's a new destroyer that's coming in for the Japanese. It's a late World War II destroyer, the IJN Matsu, and you'll find it in the Blue Water Tech Tree. It's just before the Harukaze and also after the Domimomi, and it's basically a vehicle which is just different. I don't know how else to put it. A lot of these other destroyers for Japan are from the 1930s, and they have access to some kind of odd and weird, odd and weird torpedo sets, and also these turrets, which are very standard. So the Yugamo, for example, with the 127mm/30s, and then you have the same, the 50s on the Iron Army. Then you have stuff like the Yugo, for example, from the 60s, which is similar to the Harukaze. But then you have like a lot of these kind of World War II destroyers, which have these 127mm mounts. The Matsu has these 5-inch mounts, and they're very different from what we've seen previously. So it only has 3 guns, by the way. It has a dual-mounted 5-inch set on the back, and then also it has a single-mounted 5-inch Type 89 cannon on the front. These actually have pretty good fire rates. You can see that they have 12 rounds per minute, which is better than a lot of the competition. And then as kind of a secondary and tertiary kind of amount, you have some 25mm, so you have some triple mounted ones, and then you also have some 25mm singles, which are dotted around the place. These 25mm were Japan's main AA gun on a lot of their ships, and at least in War Thunder, I'm not a huge fan of them. They just don't really work very well, and the machines have to come very close for you to actually hurt them. Then it also has access to some torpedoes. Now, these are the Type 93 Model 1s, Mod 2, and these are really good torpedoes. You only get 4 of them, but in arcade, remember, you can actually reload them, which is pretty fun, and with the new torpedo mechanics, they will be a lot more deadly. These are the ones which travel 20 kilometers and also have a very fast speed. If you've ever been a fan of these Japanese vehicles, you will know about the Shimakaze. The Shimakaze has the Type 93 Model 3 torpedoes, and these ones go at 15 kilometers and also keep the same speed. But also you have stuff like the Udachi, which has exactly the same torpedoes as the Matsu. So those are the same. All of these torpedoes are very good. They work very well. They just have varying distances and speeds over those distances. The 5-inch guns that the Matsu has have access to a HE shell and a HETF shell. So not a lot of armor piercing with these guns, but a lot of TNT equivalent. You can see 2 kilos with this, and also at the same time, this will translate pretty well into damage against other machines. One of the things that a lot of these Japanese machines do miss out on, though, is that AP damage, which means that you can usually ammo rack stuff and do stuff like that. So since this one doesn't have it, it's going to be stuck at a lower BR. You do have different belts for the 25mm. As I've said before, I don't have a lot of faith in these 25mm. They don't really do too much. There's also a bomb mortar on this machine, and as I said, this vehicle technically isn't finished. It isn't showing like all of the different stuff that it gets. You can even see on its stat card, it only talks about getting a dual 5-inch gun and completely forgets about the front one. So this one also will have bomb mortars on it. Not entirely sure where they're going to be, but usually they're on the back. Like in this area, you can see it could probably get some depth charges too. And also maybe on the front, there might be a mount for them somewhere if, you can use them in the front. So maybe we'll see stuff like that. I'm pretty sure the story of this one is also a tragic one. Didn't even survive a year in service before the Americans absolutely bombastic, Billy Fantastic it. When it comes to armor, it has 16mm of steel on the hull, 4mm of steel on the superstructure, and no additional armor anywhere else. It also has a crew of 200, which isn't too bad for its survivability. There are vehicles that have more crew, which are better, but overall that's not, too bad on it. You do have the fire control room, the radio station, and also the bridge. For the rangefinders, you don't have a lot of them. You only have this one right here, but you can see that the fire solution calculation time on it is a lot faster than many other vehicles. So that will be one of the advantages that this thing gets in Naval Realistic, but not in Arcade. Because of course with Arcade, everything is just done automatically now, so you just don't even have to worry about how good the rangefinder is. The search radar will also be able to, I suppose, see stuff which is around, but I haven't really found too much of a use for these radar systems yet, so maybe in the future it'll be more useful, but at least right now it probably won't be. So yeah, that's basically the Matsu. There's nothing really else to kind of talk about it. It will give you a slightly different experience as you enter the earlier areas of the Japanese tech tree, but I don't think it's going to like blow anything away. It doesn't really have any factors that, at least for me personally, I feel like, okay, this is just going to like take the world by storm. It just gives you something else to kind of grind through and a slightly different experience. You can even see with these kind of torpedoes, they don't really have a great kind of arc to them either. And this is one of the problems that quite a few Japanese machines have, where you don't have too much coverage on it. It actually gets stuck here as well. Like you can't go any further because the 25mm is sat there. So this is kind of the coverage you get, which, you know, I suppose it could be worse, but it definitely could be better. At least the torpedoes themselves are really, really good and work fantastically well. Just to show you how good these 25mm are, they are really struggling to destroy a Catalina and also to destroy another ship over there. So that gives you a pretty good setup on what these things are going to be able to do. And it's not going to be pretty. So your main armament is going to be the guns. The guns will do quite a decent amount, and with the reload that they have, you'll be able to constantly put some hurt on the enemies. It isn't as good as others, but it definitely isn't as worse as others either. And against reserve ships, I think generally it'll be quite nice because of the fire rate of the 5 inches. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.
I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.